Yay Media Group.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cornelius.
Hey y'all, it's Heather, and welcome to this.
Yay! Well, today we're talking about transition. Like, transition can be extremely difficult. We had a pastor that flew in. You want to tell them a little about that?
Yeah, so I trade stocks. Many of you guys know. If you want to learn how to trade stocks, I'm going to do a little plug. Go to thebusytraders.com. Traders with an S. But I teach people how to trade stocks, and I've been teaching for probably like maybe 4, 5, 6 years now. But this pastor kind of had a traumatic event happen to him, and in that moment, he said, I want to make sure that my family's set up and I'm investing long term and I'm managing my money well. And I popped into his head because we have mutual friends, and I spoke at an event that he was at. I preached at an event. And so the pastor reached out to me and was like, hey, I want to learn how to trade. And I want to, eventually transition from pastoring full time to being able to trade and have time freedom. And I'm so thankful because I don't know if you want to jump into our transition story, but I've just learned that when people transition out of a career or something they've been doing for a long time, there's a struggle there. Big financially, emotionally, because your identity is so tied, especially with pastoring specifically. I feel like your identity, and you can speak on this more, is so tied into what you do every week. You're helping all these people. You're giving of yourself 24/7 to all these people, and then you get attacked. You get talked about. People use you. They lie. And he's experienced the same thing. And so many pastors we know have experienced the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then when you leave pastoring full time, you realize you lost friends, and there's people that left and they only wanted to be around you because of your influence or because of your stage or because of how many followers you had, not because who you are as a person. But long story short, he came and did a 3-day intensive. He flew cross country to do a 3-day intensive with me, and I taught him how to trade stocks from scratch, literally. And we went through all his retirement accounts. We went through all the stocks that, I suggested, and it was really incredible. It was really great. He really left empowered and feeling like he's ready for, his eventual transition.
Right. And that got us conversing, my wife and I, about what that looks like for people who are looking at transition.
Yeah.
Like, I gave my church over in 2021, January 1st, 2021. Well, December 31st of 2020. And after that, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do? What do I do now? Like, where do you kind of go? And the thing was I know so many pastors who are ministry leaders who would walk away and do something else if they had another plan. Yeah. They don't have another plan.
You think you're going to do it forever.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I there was a clip I actually have. I was going through my phone to do on this day. Yeah. And there was a clip that I had where I was preaching at a Pinky Promise conference, and I said, I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, who retires from? You don't retire from.
Yeah. I mean, you still preach though.
I still preach, but it was like I was very adamant, like, because you think in that time, like, oh, this is just it, and you forget that life itself is seasonal.
Yeah.
There are different seasons, and seasons start to change, and so we started conversing about our journey, what that looked like, being able to step out and say, okay, what do I do now? I did a consulting call with a pastor out of Philly, and he was just like, this is what I'm doing. He's like, he's pastoring right now, but he's like, my family now, we've been thinking, let's leave Philadelphia, let's move to another place, and he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, should I go back into this? Should I go into this field? Should I try to find me something like, should I start trading stocks? Should I do this? Should I do that? So being able to sit down and consult with people and say, okay, what are the skills and talents you have? What are your gifts? What do you love to do? What do you do for fun? What do you being able to talk about your soul health? Because once we recognize a lot of people who are transitioning, you don't have great soul health.
Oh no. And you leave because you're burnt out.
And you don't have
you're gonna die.
And most of them don't have great physical health either. No. The physical health is in the trash can. Yeah. So what does that look like? And then how can we stand in to help push you forward, and get you where you need to be? So my wife and I, we talked about how we started a new consulting business called Next Season, and Next Season is all about being able to help you identify what season you're in now.
Yeah.
And then walk you through that journey of that next season. What does that look like? And for some people, their next season may not be leaving ministry. For some people, their next season may not be leaving government office or whatever it is, or leaving your doctoral program. It could be that the next season I want to be healthier or more prepared.
Yeah.
So we're talking things like, life insurance, looking at all of your policies to make sure that you have enough life insurance. Most people either are not covered or are not covered enough.
Yeah.
Are your children covered? What do you have a will and testament? Do you need to learn how to trade stocks?
Do you have a retirement setup? A lot of people don't have a retirement setup. It's like, you're going to get old. Yeah. Like, do you want to be broke and old?
Yeah.
Where you can't work anymore and they're not going to hire you? I think people our age, and I'm in my early 40s, I'm 42 and you're 38. But what we're finding is a lot of my friends, they're at executive levels and they're trying to hire younger people in those roles.
Yeah.
And so they're really struggling right now with ageism. And so, and these are 40s, 50s. They're struggling with ageism. They're like, oh my gosh, my company's trying to push me out. I never thought this would happen. And it's like, look, you got to have a plan B. No matter what corporation you're at, you need to be investing in your retirement, and not only putting the money into your retirement, but where are you assigning that money to? Where is it going? A lot of people put money in their retirement, but they're not assigning it. Assign it to VOO, VOO. That's S&P 500. It's a 500 top companies in the United States. So if a company is trash, they have bad financials, they get booted out. And since like 1927, they've had, it's 10% increase every single year. Even with that's the overall average. That's even with like market crashes. But what I'm saying is sticking your money in those places. Are you invested for your kids? Like, are you set up for your future? You have to plan ahead because life, like my husband said, is seasonal. The money that you making now, you might not make that forever.
Might get fired, might get laid off.
You might get laid off. And there's a lot of that happening.
We're seeing that happening right now.
So many layoffs, so many things. What happens if a recession hits? What happens if another pandemic hits? You're not prepared. So maybe you're not even transitioning, but I have people that I work with and I'm coaching that are like, all right, I'm a VP at my company, but I'm not happy here. And if they fire me, my contract is up this year. If they fire me, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'm like, all right, I send them over a budget form. Let's work through your budget. You got to think ahead because people are not thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And I know people in ministry that had big churches that did not plan ahead.
Yep.
And they are broke right now. They are so broke. It makes me think of athletes that I heard the study, 80% of athletes, you guys, go bankrupt within, I want to say 10 years.
I think it's 5 years after retirement.
5 after retirement. So think about it, guys. You can't be out here balling out and you have to be resourceful. You have to think ahead. You might say, well, y'all go on trips. I am resourceful with our trips. I'm going to use points. I'm going to plan ahead. I'm going to look for off-season things. I trade for things that we do, like trips and stuff that we do. But the thing is, you have to think ahead. And I feel like people don't. Transition is coming, but people aren't prepared for it.
People aren't preparing for the turn. And that's the thing, like, when you're riding in a curve, you have to lean in the direction of the curve. If you don't, then ultimately something's going to happen. You're going to crash. And the problem is we're not preparing ourselves for the transition. It's likened unto, we have 4 seasons that we recognize in our world today. That summer comes is going to be hot. Fall is a preparation time for you. If you don't have a big winter coat, you better get one.
Right.
It's giving you time to say, hey, it's starting to change. Even the leaves are like, yo, we're changing. The weather's changing. Winter's coming. And then all of a sudden the big snowfall comes and you're walking around with flip-flops on and a T-shirt and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not prepared for this. You had all this. You had a whole season to prepare for it. Fall was preparation. While you was outside dancing in leaves, that was the time for you to say, let me go buy my big coat. Let me go buy some snow boots. Let me go make sure my stuff is done. So what we're doing is we're sitting down with people, and we prefer to do it with couples. We don't mind doing it with anybody.
Yeah, we work with whoever.
But the way we're going to do it is either we can go to you, but we would love it if you can come to our table. So we feel like the table is so important.
Yeah.
Being able because that pastor, he came to our home.
Yeah.
And he sat in your office and y'all actually conversed. But being able to have people come sit at the table and we could talk about what this stuff looks like. Because here's the other thing. Everybody's journey looks different.
It's real.
It can't be this cookie cutter. Oh, I feel like, well, I'm going to do the same thing that this pastor over here did. I'm going to do the same thing that this doctor or entrepreneur did. Yours may be different. Your situation might be different. You may have more kids. You may not have any kids. But the goal is to make sure that you are honestly prepared for what the next season is going to bring. Because most people that we know, they're just not prepared for it.
I want to share a story, but we can share in a second. Okay. So we're back, and I always think about, like even my mother, she gave her whole life to us. Like literally, she adopted 20 some of us, and she spent every dime she had raising us. And back as she was growing up, and she's, in her 80s, so she's, I guess a boomer, right? But investing wasn't a big thing back then, right? It wasn't communicated. It wasn't talked about as much as it's talked about now. Yeah. I feel like our children will be set, and then our children's children will be set because we planned ahead. But that generation, I just don't think they knew any better.
Right.
And so, we get the opportunity to take care of my mom and your mom too. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to make sure that people aren't growing old and having to depend on their children. Because a lot of people are growing old and they have no choice. They have to depend on their children. They give every dime to raising them. But listen, it's something as simple as you start investing now for your kid, they'll be a multimillionaire by the age of 40 or 50.
Right.
I mean, literally, because time is on your kid's side, and no one's talking about, hey, for Christmas, buy your kid a growth stock. Buy Amazon, buy Tesla, buy NVIDIA, buy Google, Apple. Buy VU or VTI. VTI is a little bit cheaper. It's, a little more spread out. I think it's like 5,000 stocks in VTI. It's an ETF, and the ETF is just a basket of stocks of all the top stocks. But it's just, let's start planning now. Even if you're 38, your age, if you buy one share of VU every month, right, until you're 67, which is retirement, you stick it in your Roth IRA, you'll have a little over 1 million. At 38 years old, babe.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, we're all good. We're getting old, y'all. We're eating healthier. We're doing all the things, but we're not planning ahead and preparing for transition in our life.
There's a family. I love helping families when it comes to life insurance. Anybody, but I was talking to a husband and wife, and they were just like, they had life insurance. They both had term policies, and I said, "What do you have for your kids?" They said, "We don't have anything for our kids."
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but life insurance is one of the best ways, one of the best vehicles to be able to create generational wealth, especially for your children. And it was like, we didn't know this. So I'll give you an example. So they have a 7-year-old daughter. Set her daughter up on a policy. I think their monthly payment is $67. They can put in as much as, I think it was like $600 and some dollars a month into the account. Just looking at how her cash accumulated, I said, okay, so by the time you're 7-year-old, if you put in I won't give you the exact amounts they wanted to put in a month, but if you put in the exact amount of what you're saying you want to put in a month, this is what you are projected. Your 7-year-old daughter, by the time she turns 50, is going to have $3.6 million. That's just in this account, where her minimum payment is $67.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change from the duration of her life. So as she turns 30, she's still paying $67 a month. $67 a month, we spend that much on Starbucks.
Yeah.
Anything else. So the parents saw it and was like, hold on, for real? I'm like, yeah, this is, so if you're going to put this, and every time she has a birthday, what should we get your baby? Oh, you know what? Let's just, if you can give her cash. Yeah. Take some of that money. We can put it into our policy.
I set our kids 529 with the quickness to people. They were like, "What does your baby want? 529. Contribute to their 529."
This is it. But I mean, by the time she turns 50, this is not even a 65. This is not even retirement age. She turns 50. She's She's over $3 million. And I don't know how inflation is going to go. Maybe $3 million by the time she turns 50 may not be much of anything. But you know what? She won't have to sit around and suffer. And then let's just say at 40 years old, she's looking around and she's like, oh my goodness, I need to buy something else. She can go to her policy, and now she could take from her policy. She can get cash value from her policy.
Amazing.
Tax-free.
That's incredible.
But being able to know these things and saying, okay, what am I doing for my kids?
Yeah.
How am I setting these kids up? So you're already talking about Roth IRA and buying socks for your kids. And then it's so many different avenues, so many different vehicles that you can use. So being able to sit people down and saying, okay, let's go through your plan. Do you have one yet?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan, let's set one up. Initially, what's your vision statement for your family? What's your mission statement for your family? What is this retirement plan? Do you have one set up? Do you have an insurance plan that if something were to happen to either two of you, or happen to you, or happen to your kids, what happens there? What is your long-term investing plan?
Mm-hmm.
What is your soul care and fitness plan? I love fitness. That's something that I absolutely like. I indulge in. What does your fitness plan look like? Are you even taking care of yourself? What does your soul care look like? What does your community look like? I mean, I get your focus on your church health or your family, or your outside family, your friends, all that kind of stuff. But what does true health look like for you? So with Next Level, our whole goal is to push you out there, to make sure that we sit down with you, we walk with you through 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That we sit down and we actually walk a journey with you.
Yeah.
And being able to say, okay, in your next season, this is what it looks like. So you don't feel like, oh man, I don't really know where I'm going next.
Transition's hard. And
Yeah.
I think nobody talks about how you tie your identity to performance and what you do. And so if you spent, 20 years working at a place and all of a sudden you get fired and then you're all of a sudden depressed and you're feeling down and low, like nobody's talking about that transition period. It is tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like I went from preaching for 12 years, almost every week somewhere, just about, for 12 years straight on the road. And if you came to my Pinky Promise conferences, they was lit. They were amazing. I actually missed those. Those were really fun. But, but it was still so exhausting. And I did it pregnant, and I did it 9 months pregnant, and I was just trying to figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got so burnt out on the journey and just going, and I cranked out 8 books. I think you cranked out like 16. It's like this autopilot that you're on nonstop. And then when you sit down, and I actually thank God for COVID during, you know what I mean? We were forced to sit down. All my events got canceled. A few of them didn't get canceled, and I went on a couple of them. But even then, it's just like I got a chance to sit down and realize, oh my gosh, I am completely burned out. I am exhausted. I'm tired. And also our kids are at an age where they need us. Like, I remember I took a speaking engagement on the East Coast, and I told the kids that I was leaving, and Taylor had a panic attack. Like, she freaked out. Roman was bawling their eyes out. I was like, I'll be back in like 2 days, guys. But they're at an age where they want to see mommy and daddy. They want us to take them to their games and practices. And so
take them to school,
pick them up from school. So we're like, let's create a life where, we're present and active with our children more. And that's important to us in this season, because now they're grown up like this. Logan's 12. I mean, he's going to be moving out of I don't even want to think about this, how fast he's going to be moving out. But I just feel like, we don't have 12 more years in the house with him. He's going to be moving out at 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that gives us 6 more years in the house with him. I want to soak up every second, every moment. He just sent me a video of food that he wants me to make him. And I'm going to make it. He wants hot honey chicken. Mm-hmm. And I'm so excited about making it, because I'm like, you know what? Like, there's going to be a time like he's not in our house anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss that season. And I don't want to rush past this season with ambition being my driver. I actually want to slow down and rest, like you were talking about in our earlier podcast. But I feel like in this season, I'm starting to rest more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not just be so performance driven. Like, how can I grow my companies? How can I do this? Honestly, I'm in like my soft life era in that mindset. With kids, that's still always crazy. But when it comes to my business, I used to just be so driven and drive myself into the ground nonstop.
So we love to work with you. I love to walk with you, because I think the other thing, and just to throw this out there, we know how lonely it can be.
It's real
when you transition, because you don't feel like people understand. We get that. So we're saying that we understand you. This is actually the first time that my wife and I have actually joined together. We consult, but we consult separately. Mm-hmm. This is the first time that we're actually doing this together, because we recognize the power that can come when both of us come together and we work with you. So you can actually go to nextseason.com. And just information's on there. Fill out the form, set up the consult. Let's talk with you. Let's see if we're a good fit. And if so, let's work together. But let's get your next season. Let's get you understanding where you are in this season, and let's get you moving to your next season.
Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys.
Deuces. We out.
Yay Media Group.